The goal of this project is to create a 3D user interface which allows the user to create virtual structures from within the virtual environment. An additional goal is for the interface to be both low cost and non-intrusive to the user, which means that a full motion capture studio as well as a head-mounted display will not be used. Starting out with Microsoft Kinect, it provides good hand tracking in 3-dimensional space, but it is hard to use it for further input. Also, the motion capture capabilities of the Kinect does not allow for proper navigation of the virtual environment while still providing good hand tracking. Introducing handheld controllers such as the nunchuck controllers for the Nintendo Wii allows for navigation using a dual analog stick control scheme as well as buttons for precise input. Navigating the virtual environment utilizes a dual analog stick control scheme and gaze-directed steering. The user is also able to ascend and descend perpendicularly to the ground plane by pressing the buttons on the controller in the left hand. Furthermore, the user is able to enable a lock which binds the camera to a plane parallel to the ground plane. Using the Add function, the user is able to create different primitive shapes in the virtual environment. The shapes in the environment can then be selected either by pointing or by a box selection. The user is then able to duplicate, translate, scale, rotate or delete selected shapes. The user can switch between these functions by accessing the menu and then pushing one of the analog sticks in the corresponding direction as presented by the graphical user interface. The interface is tested 3 times throughout its development. First, the usability of the navigation control scheme is tested by having the user fly through a course of rings, after which they fill out a questionnaire. The test results suggest that the navigation control scheme is easy to both learn and use. However, people with no prior experience with the dual analog stick control scheme might find it more difficult to learn. The usability of the manipulation functions are then tested by having the users perform a series of tasks after which they fill out a questionnaire. The test results suggest that most of the manipulation functions are easy to learn and use, with the exception of the selection by pointing tool. This tool was not accurate enough to provide good usability, which led to the implementation of the box selection tool as an alternative. Lastly, the overall performance of the 3D UI is tested by having a group of experienced and a group of non-experienced users try to recreate Cinderella Castle in the virtual environment. They have to perform this task within a 15-minute time limit, after which they fill out a questionnaire. The answers from the questionnaire suggest that the 3D UI as a whole is both effective and satisfying for the task. All of the test subjects were satisfied with their work. However, some of the manipulation functions were critiqued for not being precise enough, and the application as a whole lacked proper depth illustration. The interface was overall well received. Especially navigating using analog sticks as opposed to motion controls worked well. Even though the test application had its faults, the interface should be developed further.